Good evening. Welcome to the David and Kenneth Show. I am
I
here
don't
with
think
David.
I've watched the intro as much as I have just then.
You like that?
I like how the steering wheel moves from the one side to the other side in the car.
Well, we are an international show, so we got to take that
And
into account.
the axe was there in for most of the scenes, and then somehow gets flipped. And I like how you kept the cat, by the way.
Yes. Oh, it was great. But
So Ken, before we get in, I have a present for you.
Awesome. What is it?
You got to see this present.
Oh, I was gonna say something about this tonight. I saw, and I know exactly what it is.
This is the
They're
official
dismantling.
Exactly.
The dismantling Starfleet Academy set. I saw a post about this week, and I saw it from my business page, so I didn't comment. But I would have been on my personal page, like ha 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 ha. It was one of the guys that helped build the set, and he was like sad he was taking it down, and he said he spent 2 years putting all the LED lights in and stuff. I'm like, oh my word. So, yeah, I saw that. It was. I was very happy. I was very happy. So, yes,
you see some guy in the background sweeping up or whatever it is.
He's probably
all the debris everywhere.
He's using one of those Walmart brooms that they used in one of the episodes, probably. So
now remember, this was a $10 million per episode affair, and so they're ripping down $100 million worth of stuff here.
It's coming down, all coming down. Can't come down fast enough.
I don't know where that money went, because you're right. They were using here's a broom from Walmart.
Yeah.
Here's a mop from Home Depot. Why do they still have mops in the future when they have robots?
Yeah. It's who is mopping? I guess they must have replicated those mops just for them, just for that moment.
Just to add, insult to injury at school. Like, you get to mop. It's like, what? Okay, I'll go touch the button that makes the thing mop. There we go.
Shouldn't they be able to
clean the floor with a laser, just it burns all the debris off?
You could use a transporter, just transport the debris away.
Oh man, let's not go there. The transporter could just. There should never be anything clean or old or broken with a transporter. It's just we have a holodeck,
unreal,
a transporter, and a replicator. You don't need anything else, and you have infinite energy.
I might have to put this up as my wallpaper on my computer, and just stare at it as I work during the day. Yeah, if I have a moment where I'm feeling down, I just look at the wallpaper on my computer screen, and it brings a smile to my face every time I see the Starfleet Academy
being disassembled,
set being torn down. It's awesome. Love it.
Now I wonder, what are these light? Is that the LED lighting that they're ripping out? Is that what that is? It's hanging from the ceiling.
The guy that was talking about it said he spent 2 years putting all these LED lights in. Like they had a very complex set. It's funny because you look at the older Star Trek shows, especially the first season, they waited until they saw whether or not the series was going to take off before they started dumping money into it, because the sets get more sophisticated and more sophisticated.
Oh yeah.
You don't do that right in the beginning and hope it all works out. It's just we're going to be talking about Star Wars tonight, and the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, the Millennium Falcon in the cockpit, they had controls in there that they were used parts they were putting in there. Some of the switches that wouldn't stay up, they'd come down, and it was so cheap the way they did it to make it work, because they didn't know what was going to happen. And then the movie exploded and made all this money. So then Empire Strikes Back, they actually put some money into it, and they put better quality, controls in the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that. But no, these guys went top dollar, and then the whole thing came crashing down, so.
Well, of course, I guess we've seen, if you think of it like this, you have Starfleet Academy, sci-fi show, allegedly, and then you have Project Hail Mary, sci-fi show.
Yeah.
And it was just the will to do something good, as opposed, Andy Weir, who does Project Hail Mary, didn't go in preaching. He went in entertaining.
Right.
Kurtzman went in preaching.
Yeah.
And Look at the difference. This show cost them $100 million that they're never going to get back. And I think Project Hail Mary just crossed $500 million in the theaters.
So, I was also reading this week, I saw it, that Starfleet Academy had an average of 40,000 viewers per episode, which is a drop in the bucket for viewership. That's embarrassing for
Yeah.
a multi-million-dollar show. And it was funny because I didn't actually watch the podcast this time, but this girl who was reviewing these things, and she said she had more views about reviewing Starfleet Academy than Starfleet Academy had watching Starfleet Academy. So it's like, yeah, that's embarrassing, and when you put $100 million into it and that's all you get out of it, you're doing something wrong.
If
You're
you're
doing something
doing
wrong.
10 million an episode and you're getting 40,000 views per $10 million, you are like, we have the thing in the beginning where we're burning the sign. They are literally just lighting money on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, they're throwing it away. And
They're not gonna get that money back.
Crazy. And you can't get it back.
So, I guess you
Actors will
could
cash their paychecks, but
I mean, they were saying they're gonna be selling off these props to see if somebody will buy this stuff as mementos or whatever. I guess they got 40,000 people to choose from because that's about it. That's the only people that would care about. But the problem is, out of those 40,000 people, how many of them were watching it just to review bomb it like we
well, I
were?
mean,
A
yeah,
lot.
yeah, there had to be 1,000 people at least who were just watching it to be like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And the fact that we could say that that's even a number, this is how few people actually watch it, is crazy. I was trying to
Yeah.
think, like, can 40,000 people produce $10 million? It's like, yeah, I guess.
The thing is, though,
But
it's like the advertisers aren't gonna be putting money into a show that's only getting viewed by 40,000 people, you
well,
know?
and you know what's crazy too is that Paramount had that data. Had that data the whole time.
Yeah.
They could see how many people are streaming because it's their service. So they were
Yeah.
sitting on these numbers, and either they were just not letting their bosses see it, or they were just sticking their fingers in their ears, just hoping it would get better. It's
Yeah.
just crazy. Like,
Mhm.
is there no accountability? If you had an employee costing you that much money, you would have to have a hard conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that
It's
it's
amazing. It really
yeah.
it's really amazing. And we've talked about this before. The Star Trek franchise is tiny compared to the Star Wars franchise.
Oh
So,
yeah.
like, big giant companies, if they're not paying attention, they might be bleeding money all over the place and they don't realize it because it's like they got money pouring in. But you have a small company that's bleeding money, you're gonna notice it a lot more. And the smaller the company you are, the tighter you have to be with your money. I mean, you should be tight anyway
Always.
with any size
Yeah.
company, but it's harder and harder to do the bigger you go. So, something like this, where Paramount is not a huge company, Star Trek is not a huge franchise, this should be a no-brainer. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, cut your losses now. That's why I keep saying, I don't think we're ever gonna see season 2 air. They'd be crazy to air it if with these low numbers. They'd be absolutely
Yeah.
crazy.
They should delete it
So,
and take the tax write-off.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was just this
be
is
done with it.
unrelated, but it is related. The Disney company announced 1,000 layoffs in their media branch.
Hmm, hmm.
The
Yeah,
agenda is
it's,
getting people fired.
yeah, yeah, and they've been doing it
So,
for a while.
and that's Disney. That's a different company, but they run Skywalker Sound,
Yeah,
which works with everybody basically. Um, Look what these companies are gonna have to do. They can't keep media personnel hired because of how bad they are at their job.
yeah, yep. The numbers don't lie. When people aren't being entertained, they're not gonna watch. No matter
Yeah,
what is preached, they're not gonna watch. You can say, "I
and
have the best show in the world," but if no one's watching it, well, especially when you start out with 2 million viewers your first episode, and within 20 minutes, most of them are gone, that should be a pretty good indication of what your show's really about, you know?
Yeah.
But
It
what do
it
we
it
know? We're just the viewers.
yeah. It's just pathetic. So it's at the point now where people are losing their jobs because of this agenda. It's across the board. Like, I know I'm a Disney fan, so I know about what's happening over at Disney, but I bet you if you looked at what's happening in the entertainment world, you're gonna see Skydance Paramount. Let's go 500, 600 people.
Mm,
What's gonna happen is they're gonna replace them with AI,
yeah,
and people aren't gonna
yeah,
think twice because what they're doing by making such garbage is they're making people say, "Well, if this is what people can write, why not just trust a machine to do it?"
yeah,
And that's just what's gonna happen, and it's really their own fault, um, but it is what it is. So,
yep.
I just thought as a gift to you,
That was
you know,
great.
me
I
try to heal up last week,
I
I wanted
appreciate
to
that.
enjoy this. I just imagine being that guy over there, you could kinda see him, the guy who's just I don't know, maybe he is mopping or dust mopping the floor. Just imagine being that
Great.
guy.
I would love to be able to be on that set while it's be part of the demolition crew. I wonder if I can what would it take for me to get out there and be on the demolition crew
But they
just for, like, a week? Be
if they
great
wanna recoup
therapy.
the money, they should probably just have people pay to do that.
I mean, I would just like to go out there and do it for fun. You know, I don't need to be paid. I'll just go out
No,
there and do
no,
it for
you
fun.
pay them to do it. See?
Well, yeah,
You
yeah,
rip down a stanchion, you get to keep it,
yeah.
you
That's
know?
they could get a lot of people that would pay to do that, I'm sure. I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
let
let's get into our review that you have for us this
let's
today.
let's do that. We are reviewing the new Star Wars series. It's an animated series called Maul Shadow Lord. So, Darth Maul, as we know him, he made his debut in the first Star Wars prequel, Phantom Menace, which came out in 1999, 27 years ago. I can't believe it. I remember seeing it in the theater. Um, 27 years ago, I remember how excited I was to go see a brand new Star Wars movie. Um, and Darth Maul was he was the main guy. Well, he wasn't the main guy. He was the Sith apprentice, the apprentice to Palpatine, who we know as the Emperor. And the funny thing is, at the end of the movie, he gets into a lightsaber duel with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi. He spears Qui-Gon once, and Qui-Gon dies. And Obi-Wan ends up slicing him in half, and then he falls down a deep shaft. And you think that's the end. He's gone. He's dead. I mean, because who would survive something like that? Getting cut in half at the waist and falling down a deep shaft, and you're gone. Well, we find out in the animated series Clone Wars, which is also a Lucas production, George Lucas production, that he didn't die. He used the Force to keep himself alive, and somehow survived and got some mechanical legs. And then later on, um, there was a planet with witches, and they were able to magically give him new like biological legs. So he
Are
makes
these the same witches from Andor?
I don't remember. That's a good question. You see, Dave, if this was a Star Trek question, I would know the answer. Star Wars, I'm a little fuzzy on some of the details. Um, they might be related though, because we see witches, I think in Andor, but we also see them in what movie? Oh no, not movie. Ahsoka, the Ahsoka series. They show up as well. Um, they show up in the Clone Wars animated series too. But he he makes his appearance let me see. So we see him in Phantom Menace, first of all. That's where he first pops up. Then we see him in Clone Wars. We found out he survived. And then he also makes a brief appearance in Solo, which he's basically in. in charge of the crime syndicate. So Maul's history that they lay out the story that he feels betrayed because he was basically used by the Emperor, and he feels betrayed obviously because he was, discarded. And the Emperor thought he was dead for a while. Once the Emperor found out he was still alive, he was basically putting out the bounty to find him, not to welcome him back, but to kill him, to finish him off. So he stays in the shadows. He ends up working, building a crime syndicate and his own little empire. And that's kind of where this show pops into. He's also in Star Wars Rebels. We see him in Star Wars Rebels. Um, we even see him in Star Wars Legos, which Dave, I don't know if you've seen Star Wars Legos, but it's pretty good. I like it. It's funny.
I
It's
mean,
a
I
great
have Star Wars Lego kits. I think I found one from the '90s the other day in
the,
my stuff downstairs.
the Star Wars Legos. There's a bunch of episodes of different things, and they're actually very entertaining. I do actually enjoy them. But anyway, so we see him in these episodes, and it's kind of funny because my first thought, Dave, I don't know about you, but when we've seen Disney do this, try to resurrect characters. The worst thing they did was try to resurrect the Emperor. That was a complete
Oh yeah.
joke. They resurrected Boba Fett. I think there's a few other people they might have resurrected that were supposedly dead. But this was done by George Lucas, so you wouldn't expect that, but that's what happened. So, let me see, where was I here? So you got all the different series that Lucas did obviously the classic Star Wars classic trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and Clone Wars, and Disney purchased Star Wars. Um, Disney purchased Star Wars for $4.05 billion from George Lucas.
Oh yeah.
So
Have you read the story? What happened there? Have you ever read what the how it went down?
no, I didn't. I was really surprised that I mean, I guess for $4.05 billion, I shouldn't be surprised, I guess. But um,
It was a
George Lucas,
steal.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess.
Um, he Disney promised him everything, but the contract said totally the opposite.
Okay.
And
I
so
didn't
when he
know that.
signed off, he had written the three, the ones that just came out. He had written the scripts for them. Kathleen Kennedy was supposed to be his inside girl, and
Mhm.
as soon as George was set off into the sunset, Kathleen Kennedy said, "This is my baby," and she threw out George's scripts.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
so George Lucas was very angry with Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney at the time, and with Kathleen Kennedy. He thought Kathleen Kennedy was going to be his inside girl. And she
Yeah.
thought, now it's my time to put my stamp on Star Wars. And she sure
Yeah,
did.
we saw how that went. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, Disney has put out Rogue One, which is a movie. Now that was good. That was actually good. They put some real
I liked
effort
Rogue
into
One.
it. There's there was a lot of CGI in it. You had like familiar characters showing up. Governor Tarkin, the guy looked like Governor Tarkin. Um, and I mean, the part that really got me, that like gave me chills, was when you see Princess Leia. You see the back of her, and you think they're only going to show the back of her because they can't show the front of her because it's not really her. Turns around, looks just like Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, it's
I was like,
crazy.
that's crazy. So that movie was great. Um, Solo, I thought the
I
storyline
heard
was
mixed
good.
things.
Yeah, I thought the storyline was good, but the guy playing Solo, it's like that's not Harrison Ford. Looks nothing like him. You have to use your imagination. The guy that played Calrissian, Calrissian, same problem. It's like, wait a minute, you guys just spent all this money and effort on Rogue One, which did well, and used the CGI, but you decided on this one, forget it. Just use your imagination. I think they could have. I think they would have come out much different if they had put the same effort into Solo that they did in Rogue One. Um, the animated series Rebels, I thought that was really good. Um, Mandalorian. Some of it was good. I think the 3rd season was slow. Ahsoka, they've had season 1. We're waiting for season 2 to come out. And I like season 1. The Book of Boba Fett, very disappointing, very
Hmm.
slow. Obi-Wan Kenobi was okay. I didn't like what they did with his character at first, but we won't even go into that now. Andor, season 1 I thought was good. Season 2, I thought it's like they just ran out of storytelling. They just didn't know what to do with it, and they ended it. That was it. The series finale was at the end of season 2, and I'm like, "Wait a
Hmm.
second, guys." So I was
Well, Disney
disappointed in
does
that.
this. Disney does this thing where they have the name of the character on the box, and then the show doesn't have him in it. So Obi-Wan Kenobi had him in it, but he was in some episodes for not even the whole thing. And then they're
Yeah,
actually doing this again right now with Daredevil, where it says Daredevil, but he isn't actually in some of the episodes, like almost at all.
hmm,
It's like, so what? Why? So they give you the name of the character, but then he doesn't show up.
yeah,
What's the point here? It's a bait and switch. And yeah, so why don't we get into the review of this? Can I tell you my immediate complaint?
yeah. I'd like to hear it.
It was too dark.
It was dark.
Like,
You mean, like,
I
physically dark or
physically
storyline dark?
no, the storyline, whatever. The show was physically too dark to watch.
Okay.
And there is, I mean, I know that it's cheaper to have it dark so that you have to make less visuals that you have to fill in. So you keep the screen dark so you don't have to pay for all the animators to make all the other stuff. But it was just so dark to watch. I was watching in a lit room, like right over here, and I'm going like, why is it so hard to see what's going on the screen? Like,
That's weird because I didn't get that vibe from it. I didn't have a problem seeing it. Uh,
I
um,
have a flat screen up
did you
here.
have
I
your
have a
eyes
little Sony flat
did
screen.
were you wearing sunglasses?
I should have. Maybe that would have made it better. It was so physically dark to watch, and maybe it could be my technology. It could be that the
Yeah, I
screen
don't
is
know.
not a bright screen. I just thought, like,
Y
can't they add like 2 to 5% more light into the show?
See, there's been shows and movies where I have that complaint, but I didn't have it with this one. Um, I don't know. I will say that the animation was like, the detail
Smooth.
is excellent. Yeah, it's top notch. It's like a whole new level because they've had several animated series, and this one is, like, super detailed. Um, basically, it tells a story of Maul who's trying to rebuild his, syndicate. This is supposedly taking place a few years after Order 66.
Okay, so it's still
Um,
in the Empire is still there. The rebellion has not
yes.
done what it's done yet.
No. So this is like there's like between Order 66 and A New Hope, there's like 20 years. So
Okay.
this is like in the first 3 or 4 years of that time, from what I read. And then, basically he's working on building the syndicate. He's got his eye on this young Jedi Padawan. He wants to turn, over and turn her into his apprentice. And that's kind of where the story, starts going. So, um, I'm gonna follow it throughout throughout there's gonna be 10 episodes. So the first 2 came out on Monday. So next Monday will be the 3rd one. And I'm gonna follow it through, and maybe we'll circle back at the end and, do a follow-up review. But, um, as far as my end of things, as far as my take, um, I think it's when you mentioned dark, I was thinking you were thinking, like, storyline dark. I would say for little kids, probably not good, a little scary
No.
for
Yeah,
them,
too scary.
definitely. But overall, it's your typical if you like the Disney animated Star Wars stuff, which, um, I like, several of them. I like Clone Wars, I like Rebels, The Bad Batch, um, might be another one I'm missing, but I like them, so I think I might we'll see how the storyline goes if they do it justice or not. So, as far as that goes, I'm good with it, and we'll see how it plays out. But what's your take on it besides it being physically too dark?
So if you say you know Star Wars less than Star Trek, I know Star Wars I don't know much about it at all. So when I started watching it, I was confused as to what's going on. Um, the timeline thing was not established in a Star Wars, so they have a right to say, put up the big wall of text like they did in all of them. They should have done something like that.
They should have, yeah.
Um,
They should have.
and that way they could have like said, "Hey, this takes place so many years after the establishment of the Empire and after Order 66, and Darth Maul has come back to get vengeance upon what has happened to him against the
Yeah.
Emperor." And I could have dot 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 dot.
Yeah.
And that was
They
acceptable for
they
Star Wars, right?
they
Set the
have
scene.
the yeah, they have the paragraphs, like, disappearing into space with the Star Wars music. They didn't do any of that.
Yeah, well, there
So,
wasn't much as far as the music goes. Um, it's non-memorable, to be honest. The Star Wars music is memorable.
yeah.
I Dave Filoni gives me pause because he's the director, but we'll see. He's supposed to be taking over Star Wars now for Disney, so we'll see what happens there. So
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was happening as far as storyline. The captain for the police, his accent kept dropping and shifting. That was super
Yeah.
distracting. And they
Yeah.
pick an accent that's difficult to understand anyway,
Yeah.
which, like, what I get they want to be international, but why don't they just pick somebody who sounds American? Everyone else does.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, they talk English, so
and they
that
speak
should be
English, so let's pick
yeah.
I sometimes Spanish, sometimes sort of Russian, inconsistent. And again, it was the first episode. It might get better as it goes on.
W
Um,
maybe that is his accent
half
because
Russian, half Spanish.
it's a galaxy far away, so that could be an actual accent on another planet
It's
where
just
it's
a
constantly
difficult
changing.
accent. Um,
Yeah.
the Mandalorians helping out Darth Maul. I don't understand that. Maybe I don't understand them enough. And again, my ignorance could be showing up. I think the story looks like it's going to be fun.
Y
I just, I, when I,
Mandalorians have different families will align with different people or different,
okay,
different sides, if that helps. But yeah, it's like you said, like I've seen, and that's the problem. If you haven't seen Clone Wars and you haven't seen Rebels or even Mandalorian, this is gonna be like, I don't know what's going on, you know?
yeah.
And I didn't catch that when you said that because it didn't occur to me. I already know this stuff. So that's why I was able to slide into the story. But if you don't know this stuff, you're gonna have no idea what's going on. You're right about that.
And I think that's so. As somebody who's not disconnected, that's going to be hard for them to jump into this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know any of them except for Darth Maul, and that's because I saw the prequels. How many kids have seen the prequels? How many people are letting their kids see any of this right now?
Right. Yeah.
We were just talking about how damaged Star Trek is. Star Wars is just as damaged.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Star Wars is big money, so they have to keep this going.
Yeah.
So I'll probably you and I will watch it. We'll probably talk about it maybe in smaller chunks over the next few weeks. We won't do what we did for Star Trek Academy. That was
No.
but we probably will in the future take like 5-10 minutes to talk about what we thought about it. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll finish up episode 2, but I want to see where it goes. I understand that the Padawan is actually based off of the real story that was his Padawan. So this is a George Lucas thing,
Mhm.
not a Disney creation thing.
Right.
Hopefully they don't Disneyfy it too much because I guess she turns out to be a really bad guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so hopefully that's the case and not,
So
she's
the
like,
one thing I say as we wrap this part up is even though I mean, other than they had the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, which everybody hated, and the new trilogy, which everybody hated, the other shows that Disney did along with the Lucas stuff, they do a pretty good job meshing it all together. They
okay.
have done that. So I'm hopeful that this is also gonna do that. But again, part of the problem is, and maybe that's part of the thing is like, well, if you wanna know what's going on, you gotta watch all of them. to
Yeah.
understand it. And I think that's probably where, part of this is they want you to watch the other shows too. Like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on. I need to watch, the other show," or they assume you've watched the other show.
So
Um,
this is a question and this is related. So I am a big Marvel fan. I love comic books. That's just how I'm wired. Um, I like that the Marvel movies feel like they're kind of niche, but I feel like what that does is it cuts people off that don't understand anything.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I can imagine the Star Wars fan does not need the wall of text. They're just like, yes, they throw me in the story. But I feel like the same problem for Marvel is the same problem in this case as well, where you're you're not intentionally alienating your audience, but there's going to be a subsection of your audience that's just going to be like, I don't know what's going
yeah,
on here.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
when I've seen Marvel movies, some of them, I'm asking my kids, "What's going on here?" 'Cause "Oh,
yeah,
that's so and so, and they're doing this." I'm like, I didn't know that because 'cause I'm not that heavy into it, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, and you're
I
gonna have the same problem here too.
and here's the thing. I understand like the people who love these franchises, they know the inside stuff, and we don't want to. You don't want to spur away those people because they have the money. They'll keep buying the toys. They'll buy the shirts. They'll watch every show.
Mhm.
But you need to get normies like me in this case who are just like, how is he alive? I thought he was dead.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
I don't have like if you were there, I wouldn't. So well, I'm not. We've watched movies together. I'm not gonna be like, so what is happening? What is happening? What is happening? Because that's super annoying. But I'm gonna be sitting there going like, I don't know what is going on right now.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that I'm not gonna say they shot themselves in the foot yet, but I think that Star Wars has a unique way around it, which is throw that wall of text up, you know,
yeah,
and add another 2 minutes on the episodes. The best part of streaming is you're not married to the 21-minute episode. You can go for longer or shorter, depending if it completes the story. But,
right.
so Dave, Mr. Filoni, if you're listening to me, if you're out there, if this somehow gets to you,
He probably
don't
is.
be afraid of the wall of text. Seriously, help help people like me who want to get into it because there's a lot of people who want Star Wars. They
Yeah,
want a good Star Wars. And Mr. Filoni, I know the show's already done. Please keep him a bad guy. Don't
yeah,
make him morally gray.
yeah.
Make him a bad guy.
Well, it's already established, Dave. You don't have to worry about that. That's already been established because at the end of the story, and you see it at, I don't remember, I think it's, the end of Star Wars Rebels. Obi-Wan and him are together again, and Obi-Wan actually kills him this time.
Okay.
So,
Well, and I want to see him be a bad guy. I want there to be clear this guy is evil. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
I mean,
Disney,
he looks
yeah.
evil.
Well, he does, but
Look
you
at
know
that.
what they'll do? They'll just say he's misunderstood or some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we don't want that. He's evil.
this is the thing. Be courageous and create a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
not like what's his name? Phantos from Marvel, who's like, well, people are gonna starve to death if there's too overpopulation, so we have to kill half the population in the universe, which makes no sense, but no, no, no.
Yeah.
Don't make him understandable. Make him evil. And then make the
Be a
good
Darth
guys.
Maul. Be a Darth Maul, not a Kylo Ren. Does
Ugh.
that make sense?
Yeah, I get that
So,
one. Yeah, be a bad guy who is a bad guy.
yeah.
And bring back you have to have good guys kind of like Han Solo. Han Solo is a good guy, but he's a little chaotic. He flirts with the gray. But
Yeah.
you have true good guys like Luke Skywalker, who is a true good guy.
Yeah.
Give us these two categories, please, Darth Maul cartoon.
That's
Please
all we're
do it,
asking.
Mr. Filoni.
Yes.
If you're
All we're
willing to be
asking.
brave and do that, and it's going to be harder to write, you're going to make money and you're going to get views. You know what I mean? Good and evil.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I don't know if they believe in that in
Absolutely.
Hollywood, but in the rest of the world, everyone believes in good and evil,
That's what
uh,
the viewers want.
and that's what the viewers want. And you know what? Make him evil and make him awesome at it. Just like make him kill the younglings. See, if George Lucas was willing to go there, and that's horrific if you think about it. But he went there to establish just how evil Darth Vader can be.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to do that, guys. Seriously, just all in, go. I don't know. I hope it does. I really do.
Yeah.
See, I'll say this. This is something, maybe you'll agree. I feel different watching this one than I did Starfleet Academy. Starfleet Academy felt like even in the first episode, like, this has got to be a load of trash, isn't it? And it just...
Yeah.
What's good about watching something that's actually truly bad is our tolerance is way up here now.
Yes. Yeah, I've grown a lot in the last 2 months.
Well, I was trying to stretch you with musicals, and then we watched Starfleet Academy.
That stretched me like this much, and then Starfleet Academy was like this much. Just keeps going. So, yeah.
What is this? Darth Vader.
Anything now.
Darth Vader was definitely misunderstood.
Yeah.
So
I will say this. I will say this, Dave. And then we got to move on to our next segment.
Yeah.
Out of all the horrific things Darth Vader did, of all these years, and then in the Return of the Jedi, he does one good thing, and all is forgiven. All is forgiven. He's back in the light side of the Force and gets to hang out with Yoda and Obi-Wan for all of eternity because he did one good thing.
I mean, Ken, we're Christians, so
well, yes, but someone has to pay. See, Jesus paid for us. Who paid for Darth Vader, though? That's the question.
No, you are. It's different. It is a different philosophical religious system, but here's the thing: George Lucas was willing to show redemption.
Yeah,
like legitimate redemption, and are people brave enough to do redemption today? I don't know. I was going to ask you something, and now I just totally blanked on it. It'll come to me. Let's hit this. Let's hit the button.
That sounds really cool through my headphones. Just got to say that. That music sounds really cool.
You're killing it.
Dave, what is our topic tonight?
So this is a week late. You'll have to forgive me, but as you probably caught the one cough I didn't get to block, we're going to look at busting Easter myths.
5 of them.
Yes. But you got to watch High School Musical. I mean, you win. I think you won the best review of the year so far.
That was amazing.
And you're going to watch the other two still. I hear there's going to be a bigger family affair for the last two.
I think it will be. I'm going to need it. I'm going to need all the support I can get.
You're just going to be like Troy, and just like that haircut is going to be your next thing. Anyway, so I'm going to look at Easter myths today. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, Ken. Where does Easter chocolate come from?
The chocolate factory.
I mean, that's exactly true. But
I don't know where the concept of it comes from, if that's what you're asking.
So chocolate wasn't discovered until the 1500s. They never worshipped or used chocolate at all for Easter or Resurrection Sunday. Chocolate just shows up because candy manufacturers in the 1800s start putting candy to help celebrate the holiday. So there are no pagan connotations to chocolate at Easter time. None at all. Zero. So if you're like, maybe we shouldn't be eating sweets on Easter. No. That's fine. All right, the next thing. Easter eggs. What have you heard about Easter eggs?
They come from the egg factory.
I mean, that's not true. I
don't know.
People will say about Easter eggs that they are a symbol of fertility and it's a pagan idea, and so we shouldn't have Easter eggs.
Okay.
That is a load of hogwash. So the egg in medieval times was a symbol of the empty tomb because there's life.
Okay, I have heard that.
And so people used eggs as a picture of the empty tomb to teach. Now you have to remember, in the Middle Ages, most people were illiterate, so they taught with pictures and imagery. That's why stained glass gets invented, because no one could read, so they put the gospel up in the stained glass in the church windows so the illiterate could see the stories that the priest was talking about. Unless if the church even had a priest in it. Yeah, unless they're blind, if you were born illiterate and blind, oh man. Anyway.
You're done.
You're done. You probably would have been done to begin with. But still, so people were illiterate, so they used imagery for teaching. And we do that today too. We still use images and pictures to teach kids. So the egg is not a pagan symbol, and in fact is a symbol of the empty tomb. And you have to remember. So, Ken, have you ever practiced Lent while I cough?
No, I have not.
So what do you think about Lent?
That cough was completely silent. That's amazing. Isn't it a Catholic thing?
It is. Well, not totally. So you and I are in the Baptist. We're in the non-denominational or Baptist adjacent world. You and I. Lent was starting to be celebrated by the 300s.
Okay.
Lent shows up for Christians, and there's historical evidence to show it maybe was even there in the 1st or 2nd century. People were celebrating the period, the build up to the crucifixion and the resurrection Sunday with Lent, maybe as early as the 200s. Or 100s. It's happened. It shows up in the Christian faith right at the beginning. So it's an ancient practice. And Catholics practice it. Anglicans practice it. Some Presbyterians do it. Some Methodists. And I know I've caught a Baptist or two who'll do it. It's not mandatory. It's just a way of fasting so that you can remember what the Lord did. Anyway, so the fast shows up. Lent spreads across Christendom. People have been practicing Lent for so if it's from the 200s, for 1800 years, Lent's been being practiced in Christendom. And so what happens is, can men and women observe Lent, but do animals observe Lent? No, they don't care.
Is this a trick question?
No. Animals can't observe Lent. They're animals.
Yeah.
And so you're not allowed to eat meat during Lent. That's just how it works. You don't eat meat. You are allowed to eat fish and vegetables. You give up meat because, I forget the semblance right now, because I'm sick, but you don't eat meat. But you're allowed to eat fish because the Pope said so. Anyway, that's one of those things that's a little screwy. That gets added on a lot later.
It's bad for fish and good for animals. Then.
Yes, fish, holy. Cow, not holy. Anyway, well, here's the thing. You're not allowed to eat meat on Fridays, but chickens don't care about Lent. Chickens lay eggs every day of the week. And they lay eggs on Fridays. So what people do? They started decorating them because, remember, it's the symbol of the empty tomb. So they start painting the Bible stories on the eggs. So if you paint your eggs, it's not pagan. It's actually telling a story. By the 13th century, so about the 1200s, people started purposely painting them to tell the Bible story. So when you color your eggs, you're actually continuing an ancient tradition of, if you do it right, demonstrating the gospel with the egg. So that's how it happens. Easter bunnies actually start in the 1600s, and they start in, actually, believe it or not, the Easter bunny is a product of Protestant Christendom, not Catholic Christendom.
Huh.
So people will say, bunnies, they must be a symbol of fertility. We actually don't have any ancient or Near Eastern or Western fertility teachings about bunnies at all. And by the time the 1600s roll in, the West is so thoroughly de-paganized. It hasn't been pagan in maybe 1,200 years. So they're not thinking about bunnies. They're just thinking like, these are animals in the spring. They're occasionally seen as being pure, but it's the Protestants who invented the Easter bunny. So people, what they do is they freight these ideas back into these things, and they call them pagan, and really they were never pagan to begin with. And
So
so
what's
bunnies
the
really,
significance of the Easter bunny then?
it was a cool mold that the Victorians started selling chocolate in the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
So it's all commercial. There is no
Gotcha.
religious significance to an Easter bunny at all. It is just about money. That's it.
Huh.
Yeah. So it is as benign as possible, the Easter bunny. And if people want, I can provide the sources. I got them.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the big one. Do you know, people will say that Easter is the name comes from Ishtar, who was an Egyptian god or an Assyrian god who had a resurrection. There's
Mhm.
a problem with that, though. That never happened.
Huh. Well, that is a problem then.
Yes, so we don't know
That's a
really. Yeah, go ahead.
that's a big one I've heard. Like, people are like, "You shouldn't call it Easter, call it Resurrection Day." And so,
So,
I've never gotten heavy into that, but I've heard people that are, it's like, you know so
do
what are
you
your thoughts
know
on that?
you should talk to some of your Russian family. Ask them what the name of Easter is in Russia.
Okay.
And what you'll find is it's usually like Pascal or Pasha or something like that,
Mhm.
which is the Russian word for Passover.
Okay.
Spanish, French, Russian, most Scandinavian languages, most pretty much every language except this holiday is called Passover in their language. We are English speakers and German speakers, the only people groups that don't use Passover for Easter.
Huh.
And so people again backload meaning into that. That's just not there anywhere else.
Gotcha.
So Easter may come from an Austrian word. Hold on. I'm running out of gas here. It might come from an
Falling apart.
early, huh? Oh
You're
yeah.
falling apart.
Oh man. It's like you get paid to talk, and then when you talk, it's just setting you back. So Easter comes from an Austrian German word, which means morning. When would they do the services for Easter? In the morning because
In
of
the morning.
resurrection.
Yeah.
So I don't know about
Yep.
you guys, but we had a sunrise service. Oh man, sunrise service is tough. But the sunrise is in the morning. The resurrection happened, of course, in the morning.
Mhm.
And so the Germans call Easter. English follows the German in its pronunciation of the holiday. So we get the word Easter. But if we were Spanish or French or Russian, we'd call it Passover
That
because
makes
Jesus
sense.
truly is our Passover.
Yeah.
Um, so if somebody tells you it's from a pagan god, Estar,
Not
like,
true.
we don't even have any references to that god in history other than what we have. Somebody in the 1800s said it, and then we're like, well, see, he must have known about it. And then it's just like telephone that continues.
Huh. So it's just a myth, a
Yeah, so it's a
urban myth.
it's a secular myth from the 1800s that hasn't gone away. So if
Gotcha.
you ever feel guilty about Easter bunnies, Easter eggs, don't, because it's all just based on lies. Um, if anything, I wish that English called it Passover, not Easter,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that'd be more biblically authentic. It's the shed blood of the lamb on our door stool, on our the top of the door. I can't remember that word right now. I know I can't because I'm sick. But just like how the Jews had to put the blood of the lamb on their doors, the
Mhm.
blood of the lamb had to be put on the doors for us to enter into heaven. And
Yep.
so that's why Jesus is the same way. He is our Passover. It's without him, we would experience the destruction of God, just like the Jews were going to experience the destroyer.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that's the long and the short of it. I will do this again maybe next year. I have like 3 more pages of stuff, but those are the questions you're probably going to deal with first if you get asked.
Yeah, those are definitely the highlights. Those are definitely the highlights. Um, and just so everyone knows, Dave is not sick. His nose is leaking. So
I am done, man. Why don't you wrap it up?
Dave is done. Dave is done. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And we will be back same time, same channel next week. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them for us and we will ignore them. So we won't ignore them. But good night, everybody, and we will see you.